With stocks soaring and low interest rates, who wants to own bonds? It's not a sexy idea, but the time to buy long-term U.S. Treasury bonds is approaching. The Dow is up, the Nasdaq is up, and the S&P 500 is up. Even the Russell 2000 is up. So, with bonds down over 10%, who should buy bonds now? Well, let's take a look. Bonds are never exciting, and with the stock melt-up, bonds are even less exciting now. But those of you who have been with me for a while know I can find the next rotation. You saw me call the markets up over a year ago. You saw me call the rotation into commodities, and you saw me call the move for oil. And now I'm telling you that bonds will have their day once again, maybe soon. The iShares 20-year Treasury Bond Fund, with the symbol TLT, holds a basket of long-term Treasury bonds, and it did extremely well during the early days of the pandemic. While U.S. stocks were down 34% from February 19th to March 23rd of 2020, TLT was up 14%. Now things have changed. With vaccines rolling out and potential normalcy returning in 2021, TLT is in the process of crashing. Interest rates have been rising, and that has crushed bond prices. The recent fall has wiped out all of TLT's early 2020 gains. But history shows the downturn is almost over. Since 1990, hitting a new 52-week low has signaled a turning point for bonds. And, as I said in the previous video, if the market does crash, or if it even does a correction, TLT may be the place to hide. So, let's take a look at TLT. And now we're looking at the 20-year monthly chart on the iShares 20-plus year Treasury Bond ETF, and the symbol is TLT. For disclosure purposes, I do not hold any shares of TLT at this time. Now, going all the way back to 2004 through to the current time frame, it's a pretty nice move all the way up. Now, what we want to pay attention to is, of course, the current time frame here. But let's take a look at this, this, and maybe even this. Down into the oscillators, beginning with volume. Volume is a very nice chart with the move from here, 2008 on up. Very slight upward trend. That's a very favorable characteristic. Now into the MAC. This is what I asked you to take a look at. These points here and here, as well as this, and then hopefully something like this here in the next several months, maybe a few quarters or so. We're early, but I was also early on commodities, and I was also early on oil, but I was right. Moving on down here into the histogram, very negative at this point, but don't let that bother you. Moving here into the price rate of change, you can see these points here, this one was a little bit longer, and then now we're coming down here. So it looks like things are setting up for a bottom, again, maybe in the next several months, perhaps a couple of quarters. And same thing there in the relative strength. We're at a very weak 36.3, but I think we're going to be bottoming here soon enough. Into the stochastics, you can see the cycle there very clearly. And then the same thing in the Williams. Moving on back up to the price chart, just keep your eye on this for a while, because this may be, the TLT may be a place to hide if we do have a pretty sizable correction or a crash. You might have an idea in advance, so keep your eye on that. Again, TLT. All right, let me show you a bonus chart on another stock. The last time I looked at Alibaba was some time ago, and one of the subscribers was a little unhappy with me with regard to my prediction, but it came out to be relatively true. I talked about how Alibaba had hit a peak here and it was on its way down. Now, I'm going to call a bottom here relatively soon. Let's look at the oscillators. Volume's not going to tell us too much, but certainly the MAC does. This has a very nice cycle, all the way up and down, and then back up, and then back down again. So I think we're going to be hitting the bottom of that cycle in not too long. Same thing, you can see that in the histogram, as well as in the price rate of change, and into the relative strength, and then the stochastics, and lastly, the Williams. All of them are setting up very nicely for a bottom that I think is going to be coming for Alibaba soon enough. So watch that one too and tell me if I'm right or wrong. And for today, that's ChewDog Charts. Thank you.